many lights at the ante. I think there was like a total of 20, but now there's like 21, 22.
Like that demo they just dropped today for the game that already released. Wow.
I'm re-downloading the demo just so I can play as the Warriors in the demo and play now. I can't do that in this game.
Hey, I hope you grab all my misses this video, Dirk. Look.
He's missing. I think you promised.
Let's go. Hey, other team, I will literally give you VC if you turn your mics on.
I don't think it will leak you. I don't think you promised.
Give me that.
I pinky promise you will earn some VC. That is a horrible.
He said pinky promise, guys. Let me say something controversial.
Okay.
It is not thick.
What? On his head top. Let's go, baby.
No one was that. His finger was close.
Wow, that's what's up there. It's in.
You really like whites.
Oh yeah, dude, I love whites. Like egg whites, white people, just in general, white's a great color. Oop it. Hey, Hunter wants some VC, but you didn't want to. Pathetic.
Oh, of course you're plugging your mic right now. Are you serious? They don't want the smoke.
If they don't want to smoke. Hey, are these your friends?
You got the Shishka logo on them. I'm literally trying to give you guys VC, bro. If you can hit the shot, I'll give you VC. Turn your mic on, man. Oh, hit that. That's you, Dirk.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, man. Not gonna lie, it's been a minute since I used that release. Kind of caught me off guard how quick it was. Let's pretend like that never happened, all right? What the hell?
Oh, my.
Oh, my God.
What a pass!
We support the power company that turns the lights on in my house. It's our network that supports aviation. It's the same network that supports the hospitals.
It's always putting the customer first, understanding who they are.
Whether it's something that exists today or something that's on the horizon.
That's great! You know what 35K VC can get you? That can get you one accessory from Swags. These prices have gone up in this economy.
It's inflation, Dirk. Oh, he can't. Hold on, Dirk. Go ahead, Dirk. Look,
what the hell?
Look, they're getting baited. Look at them get baited. Look at them getting baited. 20. Oh yeah. I meant to look square. Oh, Dirk got it. That's what I was trying to go for. Ooh. If you turn your mics on now, I'm having a fit. Hey, what up, church? Well, I like your fit. You know what I mean? It's like you're ready to camp out. Yeah, I'm talking to you, church. Your fit. Not you. Hey, you're high right now. What are you smoking?
I'm smoking crack. A lot of people tell me that I sound like G-Man. Do I sound like G-Man?
You're like G-Man, but you're a little better at dribbling. He's not so good.
I can't dribble.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's a spacing.
How much do you want to get it on make a full court?
If you make a full court, I'll give you 100K.
Oh, wait. Oh, this is...
That's crazy.
Come on.
Alright, that's your last chance.
Kobe.
Oh, we're close, yo. Close. If you can take Vortex's ankles in the next possession, I need 35 keepers.
Hey, why me? Don't do it to me, please. I have a family. Actually, no, I don't. They left.
Oh, Vortex, you got it. Woo! Edit out that screen, bro. Hey, okay, if y'all can get a dunk this possession, whoever gets a dunk, I'm gonna need 35 keepers.
Me.
Yo, give me this time.
I can't get up.
Alright, let's take advantage of this situation. Alright, that's a shooter right there. Oh, yeah.
That's good. Whoever gets a dunk, man, yeah, give me half of that. Let's provide it.
Don't do it. Oh my God. Don't dump me. Come on, dunk.
Whoa! Stop! If you guys can hit a 3 in a possession.
Who versus that 3? Alright, 3 up now.
Oh, I guess I do. What the hell? Oh, you're too late for the dunk.
You know Dirk is still open. Guard 3 punch.
Oh, yeah.
Yo,
shoot that one. Leave him open. Leave him open.
Oh,
Shoot that
you're
thing.
not gonna shoot that.
You do it! Oh, no, baby!
Yeah, you gotta hop off the wheel once we play play.
You know what's crazy over in LA, bro? Davis could have stayed like on the couch in my hotel, but he wanted to sleep with Peter on his hotel. Davis, have I went too far with these jokes? Do you think I'm actually gonna touch you, you weird man? Let's go! Nah, the fact that I was way more excited about tripping than Davis is scary. Whoever makes it furthest gets 35K BC. Let's go!
I thought we were gonna off-brand Mr. Beast challenge. Let's go! It's a lion. It's a lion.
Ah, the rap, bro.
Hey, in New York? Yeah! Hey, we're up at the ante. 70K BC for the winner here, alright?
Yes, let's go.
No! Did anyone get that?
Damn it!
Oh, we all suck. Jesus. It's like I can't give away LPC this video, but I'm trying to. You know what's wild? A guy came up to me at SneakerCon and was like, yo, Agent, I pooped. And I was like, what? And it was while I was taking a photo of him. So I was startled in the photo, bro. I was so surprised. Then he's like, yo, if you need me to poop anyone, just let me know. And I was like, dude, there's like a laundry list of people I need your help with. And so I got his contact information today.
Time to go win this tournament, Agent.
Hey, good luck with the tournament.
Give him 35K in the tournament.
Oh yeah, you might need it. Oh, he left. That's tragic. Hopefully he comes back and redeems his reward. It'd be a shame if he wanted a vent and didn't get what he wanted. You know what I mean? It was so refreshing playing with Dirk because I didn't even have to try and we were winning, yo. This was so nice. Put a Phantom on her last time and we just lost everything, bro. No matter what we did.
Okay. Can you go find the verse I suggested?
No. I feel like you're trying to boot me offline. Oh man, why is it so hard to find people with mics? It wasn't like this in the past, bro.
Sorry, will you FaceTime me? He priority. Bye.
Why is he trying to sabotage the video? Do I need to sabotage his PS4?
I've been using to hustle. Alright, I'm not ready. Compromise that.
Hold on, there's someone at my door. I know I told you not to open doors, but I think I'm pretty safe in this house. Why? Please, what the please? Look. No. Look at this. Bro, he brought the fucking mattress!
Everyone wants to see this match again. It's possible now. Why not?
Vortex, what the fuck did you tell him to do, bro?
I just told him to compromise the bed.
I'm not putting it back. Believe! Can you turn your mic on? I'm trying to give you VC. We're literally doing a challenge with us, bro. These other guys. In the next 2 possessions, well, actually, Vortex is the only one that stands a chance. If you can get an ankle breaker, you get 70K VC, Vortex.
I'm not gonna pretend to care. Oh my god, 70K, bro!
Oh, you kind of. What, you shot that? Okay, let's put in the next 2 possessions trying to catch back up.
Good shot.
Not to me. I'm experiencing clinical depression right now.
I'm due for a bucket. Come on.
This Veterans Day weekend,
Stand your place.
discover the real heroes. I need my best men in the right spot. Change history. Midway, PG-13.
Come on. Let's go. Yeah, we got it. Good job.
I would love to pass it, but I need to get on code first. Baited. Let's go.
All the way.
Yeah, just take it.
Oh yeah.
Three?
Oh yeah.
That's what we want.
Man, get them out of here, bro.
What?
Game.
Oh my god.
Oh, you had me on your friend list, bro, but you deleted me, bro. Oh, this is awkward.
I've never had that username on my friends list. What are you talking about? FOH, take this in, bro. If you can hit a shot from half court, bro, I'm sending 35K BC your way. That's break, my bad. Oh, okay, love. Hey, Mike, appreciate that. Half court shot, bro, 35. I don't know if you can do it, though. What? No green! What? What are you doing?
I'm here to analyze and make sure connections. How long is this recording?
Oh, sir, can you please,
Is it an hour and a half so far?
yeah. Can you please help with the latency, good sir? Tech support? Don't disconnect me! Believe, bro, stop. Did he actually disconnect me? And wait, you know how long it took to find someone with a mic? Why? Bro, you're fired! I don't want tech support! No! I'm going through it today, fellas.
Can you want to win some BC? No. Oh. But we might look up studio wall.
I'm just spiraling into a deep depression, bro. No cap. And I got this fucking clown with base 8 dropping greenies and shit. Hey, if you get an ankle breaker on me, I swear I'll give you 70 KBC.
I don't know that.
Oh no, you thought. You thought.
Everything wrong smells great.
Probably like greed. If you get ISO and drop a bucket, 70.
I don't care. I mean, oh, shit. Let's go.
Next possession, I got 7K.
I've been trying to give you VC, say you don't want it, man. What the hell?
Let's make it interesting. Let's make it interesting.
I bet. Vortex might get 70. He might just get 70. Count it. Let me put that on the notepad. Hey, yo, Danny, if you could ISO me and drop a bucket on next possession, and I'm cold, remember, I'm cold, I'll give you 70. Bro, the arrows, give me up. The arrows!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ringers NBA Palooza. My name is Chris Ryan. This is Kevin O'Connor. This is Justin Verrier, and we are here to do Group Chat, the beloved NBA show podcast that the Ringer puts out every week. You can subscribe to the Ringer NBA show wherever you get your podcasts, and get Kevin twice a week on the Mismatch, Justin and I with charts on Wednesdays, and John, Haley, and Dan on Mondays with Heat Check, plus Russillo, plus Phil. We got you covered. And we got you covered today because we're going to talk about the NBA. We're going to talk about Kevin's power rankings, which have been going up on the site over the last couple of days. He's been breaking the NBA into tiers, into groups. Kev, what's going on with you, man? Good to see you.
I'm stoked to be here, Chris.
Are you stoked about this? The season is finally starting. Justin, we have a little bit of like a wet firecracker with the Raptors and the Pelicans because Zion's not going to be playing tonight. Sure, a little disappointing, but we're going to talk a lot about them later. We're going to start talking out by probably the most interesting thing. I edited Kevin's pieces, and when I was going through it, I was like, oh, no, Kevin's got number one. He's got to win the championship. And even then, I was still surprised, Kev, that you had the Los Angeles Lakers winning the NBA Finals.
It's pretty simple, Chris.
Okay.
They have LeBron James, arguably the greatest player ever, and Anthony Davis, arguably the best big man of this decade.
So you're buying their upside, their ceiling over everything.
I think the Clippers are a safer championship team because of their amount of depth and proven depth and the quality that they had last year. But the Lakers' depth around AD and LeBron, which could be the most dominant pick-and-roll two-man attack that we've ever seen, I think what they have around that core is pretty good and somewhat underrated kind of season. But ultimately, it comes down to this.
What were you thinking when you saw Lakers over Clippers in Kevin's piece?
I was wondering if this was like 2016 because as good as LeBron and AD are, and I think they will be even better in the playoffs, I don't know who is going to be able to guard Anthony Davis. I'm curious about who are the other guys that are going to put around them, and Avery Bradley's a guy that is theoretically going to start with the goal for this team. Kyle Kuzma isn't even on the court right now, so I don't know who they're going to get to take those open shots.
I think when it comes to the durability aspect, I feel the same way with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. You have Paul George coming off double shoulder surgery. He's not going to play the first 4 to 6 weeks or something. And you have Kawhi, who only 2 years ago had this weird, mysterious leg injury that sort of has gone away, but he says now he doesn't need to be load managed at all.
Right.
That can always come back, just like it did with the Spurs. And so with that team, I look at that as a wash with the questions about durability. With the depth, look, I mean, the Clippers have better depth. That's undeniable. With guys like Patrick Beverly on their roster, the Lakers don't have that, but they do have, someone like Danny Green, who is one of the best 3 league players in the league. They do have Avery Bradley, who, look, I know a lot of people hate Avery Bradley. But 38% on catch and shoot threes since 2013. A pretty good defender in a matchup against a Curry or a Damian Lillard. And then you have guys like Kuzma, who, love him or hate him, he's a spark plug scorer. And that's what you kind of want as that third cog next to your real linchpin of your team between LeBron James. So you look up and down their roster, they have the ability to play different styles, big or small.
Yeah.
And they have two of the top 5 players in the league.
So Clippers are like the eco-friendly mode. It's like when you're driving along the highway and you hit the leaf and you're like, I'm saving gas and just cruising along. And you know that they're going to have they have like an optimized playoff team. 2 incredible generational talent with defenders and then a really nice supporting cast around them. How do you feel about them going into this?
I probably feel better about them than the Lakers because of the reasons that you mentioned, but I do think there are more question marks than people are really considering with this team. I think they have a lot of options, especially in crunch time. They have guys like Montrezl Harrell, Lou Williams can get thrown in there. They have a bunch of bigs. They have depth, which a lot of these big 2 teams just don't have. On the other hand, they have a lot of options, but they don't have guys that you know are going to be there in crunch time. This is the type of team that could theoretically get Andre Iguodala in there, but for now, I'm just wondering who they're going to get because Paul George isn't probably going to play like the first 10 games of the season because of the shoulder surgeries that he had. So you really only have Kawhi and a couple other ball handlers, Lou, maybe Patrick Beverly, and just like in a diminutive role.
Yeah, you were saying like Terrence Mann might play a lot, right?
They really need a point guard.
Yeah, he could eventually carve out like a 9th or 10th guy.
CP3 coming home.
Who says no? I think the Clippers, though, I honestly feel like their lack of another ball handler has been overstated a little bit because like Lou Will, 6th man of the year, and he's at least going to be in the conversation. Patrick Beverly can at least handle point guard reps for you, and then Kawhi Leonard's going to dominate the ball with Paul George, being second fiddle behind him and playing off Kawhi. I think they have enough weapons on that roster where, for me, it's more like, well, can they find that other wing defender to Iguodala? Can they find another big man who might be an upgrade over Zubats for like a Jokic-Nuggets series?
Yeah,
they're close to perfect.
I'm just curious, though, if you put Lou in that situation, especially in crunch time, are you sacrificing more on the defensive end? And if you don't have Paul George, then you're going to open yourself up to him. But I do have just faith in the Clippers organization, which is probably why I think the Clippers are in a better position than the Lakers, because all those guys on the fringes, the Terrence Mann, some of these draft picks that the Clippers have brought along, like they've shown that they can do that. I don't know about the Lakers. They've kind of
You're not a Dwight Howard fan.
Not a Dwight Howard fan. They put their faith.
He looks lean, dude.
Yeah, I know, and his hair looks fantastic.
Muscle watch.
Yeah, but like they're hoping that these retreads kind of refine something that they've lost over the past few seasons.
Or that they get the LeBron and AD bounce. Yeah, right.
I mean, those guys are also pretty good.
Yeah. So what I want to ask is, we're talking about the battle for Los Angeles. That's the second game tonight. It's the first Clippers-Lakers clash. There's like 400 people who've been credentialed for the Clippers game. It's going to be an absolute madhouse there. Is the battle for Los Angeles actually the battle for the NBA title, or do other teams here have a shot? And I'm talking specifically about the sort of favorites in the East, which are the Bucks and the Sixers. Are they in the conversation for the title, or do you think the Clippers and the Lakers have some separation from the rest of the field?
I think it's absolutely the case that there are maybe 8 to 10 teams who can strong all year forward.
Really?
That could win the title. I mean, they need like either a player to develop, or they need to add a guy, or they just need something to break right for them in postseason series, hot shooting streak, ankle turns, or something like that.
Sure.
But I think there's strong cases to debate. To me, it's just Lakers and Clippers, and then Bucks and Sixers, respectively, in each conference, are the 2 favorites, but they're not like a Warriors level favorite or a Miami Heat with LeBron level favorite. They're not quite at that level, which means that for the first time, at least as long as I can remember, we're entering the season without like that clear head and shoulders above everybody else's favorite. So it's a battle for Los Angeles, but not necessarily a battle for the title. I think there's a lot of things that are not going on.
And by that same token, do you think that the Eastern Conference is a 2-team race, or do you think it's more wide open than that?
No, I think these are the only 2 teams that should be there. I mean, the Celtics are going to be interesting, but again, there's just like once. Did I hit a nerve there?
I didn't say it. I would agree in the East if it's Philly and Milwaukee. They're further ahead than the other teams. So like Utah, Denver, Houston. You can make arguments for a bunch of teams.
Yeah, that second tier is just a lot better in the West. I mean, we were talking about the Heat as potential like number 3 team in the East, and like I have no faith in the Heat as like a big time playoff team. But all of a sudden, like in the regular season, they can stack a bunch of wins because that's how bad that conference is.
Yeah, I think that it's been interesting because, like Kevin said, the idea that there's all this parity, and I do think on any given night, a Mavs can beat the Lakers. You know what I mean? Like, if there's not going to be any kind of like, oh, this is just a check every night. Like, check these ones off as W's. But at the same time, if I'm being honest with myself, I wake up in the mirror and I'm like, who's going to be there at the end? It's these four teams, right? And it's like the collection of talent in these four teams. And you talked about this, Kevin. I think when I actually was like looking at your pieces, I was like, oh man, like these are the guys right here. And without Clay, you have to feel like the Warriors have taken a step out of the title contention. Without Kevin, obviously. And then I think in the East, so I want to talk a little bit about these two teams. I'm not concerned to win, where I ask this sincerely and genuinely. Is there any drop off in second year Bud? Basically, the year after the, oh my guys, my eyes are falling out of my head, these guys have changed the way they play. Because that sort of happened a little bit with that Atlanta team. That Atlanta team did not have Giannis. Do you see any signs of slip for the Bucks?
Not yet, but I do wonder over the course of the season when we see that. What they do now is not right. I mean, last season they were sort of innovative in how they baited average three-point shooters take more threes. Paul wrote about that, incredibly well on Taking Glass, and it's fascinating to watch them really just try to leave open at 34%. Now, will teams adjust in some way over the course of the season to use that against them? How they're going to defend dropping Brook Lopez in the pick and roll? I don't know. I haven't seen it yet in preseason, but over the course of the year, there's a whole year of film for teams to really counter that. Never mind the fact that they did lose Malcolm Brogdon, who is sometimes their second best player, right next to Chris Middleton behind Giannis last season. He's if you're talking about all the off-season changes that happened, he's probably one of the more underrated and overlooked.
Yeah, he happened in that crazy sea of 94 Rose bombs, and I was like, oh wait, Brogdon's on the Pacers now? How did that happen?
I think the race for the best player of all time, I think it's Jordan, I think it's LeBron, and then I think it's Malcolm Brogdon. At least if you were at the Ringer. Yes, I've heard about this guy nonstop for the past 5 months, but he's very good. I mean, he was 50, 40, 90 guy, kind of under the radar. He really kind of keyed that offense around Giannis, and now they're the margin for error is just much thinner.
Yeah.
You're dealing with guys like Pat Connaughton. You need Dante DiVincenzo to kind of step forward and be that heat check sort of
coming through. You need that ball. Eric Bledsoe can't lay it in like he did in the postseason last year. Or Giannis, and we had this in the article today, Giannis's playmaking needs to break through. Everybody talks about his shooting, and rightfully so. He's gotten better over time as a shooter. He shot around 34% on dribble jumper threes since Christmas last year. His form looks better. He's worked at it, but his passing has remained pretty stagnant. And there were times in the series last year against Toronto where they just clogged the paint.
It was 4 or 5 guys. It built the wall.
Yeah, exactly. And he needs to get even just 10% better. That's going to create more shots.
So here's my question: Giannis gets 10% better. Does that make the Bucks title winners?
Can we expect that?
I don't know.
Everyone thinks that Giannis is going to keep making leaps, but he's already
if he makes a
amazing.
leap, he's will.
You know what I mean? Everyone expects the three-pointer to come along, and maybe it will, but we also thought that with Anthony Davis, and a couple of years later, he's still trying to figure that out. So I don't know. It seems like the Bucks are a team kind of trying to keep things together and hoping that they could just recreate the success of last season. And the Sixers, dare I say, feel like a team on the rise.
Your Venmo payment is in transit. It'll be confirmed as soon as this podcast is over. Let's talk about the Sixers, a team on the rise.
Do we all? So I had them 3 ahead of Milwaukee.
I appreciate that.
You agree, Justin, with that?
If we're talking playoffs, yes, I think the Nuggets could potentially just stack.
All right. So in the East, though, I think with Philly, I'm more fascinated to watch them than anyone. Because of just the sheer size on their roster. There's going to be times where Josh Richardson is the smallest guy on the floor.
Yeah.
At 6'6" with long 7-foot wingspan, and you're going to have 3 guys that are around 7 feet tall. One of them, Ben Simmons, who is one of the better overall defenders in the whole league. This team, with this group of Horford next to Embiid and backing him up, with Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, Richardson.
Is Matisse Thybulle a top 5 NBA player right now? Right, today.
You think him or Brogdon is in the race for 3?
Well, I mean, you notice so Michael Jordan came out and said he didn't think that Steph Curry was a Hall of Famer yet. Sure. He didn't say that about Thybulle. And by an omission, I think we can suggest that maybe he's already. Have you seen Thybulle's D?
No, because it's the preseason. I'm not watching the Chiefs Thigh Bowl clips like at midnight in the middle of October. Apparently, that's what everyone
Get off
else
of
is doing.
TikTok.
Okay.
Go on YouTube and watch the octopus come around dudes and just take the ball whenever he wants.
Yeah.
This is Kawhi without the headaches. Kawhi without the locker room drama.
I mean, he's one of the guys on this roster that makes them have the ability to lock down any team.
Yeah.
They can play with jumbo lineups. They can have lengthy switchable lineups with Thibault and Richardson on the perimeter and Simmons. They could be one of the best defenses we've seen this season.
We know what they're going to. Their ceiling for defense, like you said, is historic. It's like 04 Pistons is the
Historic. We're already going there.
Well, I mean,
It doesn't need to win there, but the ceiling.
They could be pretty good. All right.
okay. Name your favorite defense of all time?
The steel curtain.
Good.
The 19
The
Patriots.
United States Army. How about that? Huh? Pretty good defense.
Yeah.
What about their offense?
I have more questions.
Yes.
If Thibault is going to be the next Kawhi Leonard, he also needs to be able to hit a jump shot because I don't know who else.
It took Kawhi a minute to hit jump shots.
Yeah, it took him a little while,
Yeah.
but his other teammates also could hit these.
Yes.
So that helps a little bit. And so I wonder, I mean, Ben Simmons obviously is taking threes, well, at the very least, just in an empty gym.
He's putting TikToks up about it. Yes.
Right. I mean, and be it a guy who is prone to just like roam the perimeter and just like not get into the post where he should be all the time.
That's because of Ben, though. That's
Sure.
because Ben Simmons shoots in the wrong hand. He's not reliable from the perimeter, so he needs to play inside. Like
How different is it going to look this year?
Well, they're probably going to stagger them, right? And if you keep them separated for most of the regular season, I think that can be incredible.
Right.
But eventually you're going to have to play these guys together, and it's not only Ben and Joel, it's Ben, Joel, and Al Horford. That's a lot of girth.
How do you stagger Horford with Embiid and then Embiid with Simmons though? I mean, like that seems like that's a challenge.
So
for
the
Brett
question I
Brown.
think is like how successful can they be if this, all caveats aside about position-free basketball, unicorns, like think with your fourth eye or whatever, like how successful can this team be if the crunch time offense is Embiid 25 feet from the hoop and Simmons being isolated as a dunker?
That's where Josh can be that guy. Him and Tobias Harris, if they step up and they can be the person. It's really, in my eyes, as simple as that. These guys need to prove that they can be an on-ball presence late in games.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to need that every night because your defense is going to hold the teams to like 90, and your offense is going to do just enough. But there's going to be a lot of nights, especially against teams like the Lakers, and the Clippers, and Nuggets, and Jazz, all these really good teams, that you're going to need a bucket from a guy who can create on the ball. And that's where Jimmy Butler will be missed. But I think ultimately with this team, I wonder how creative Brett Brown gets. I mean, what does he do with their size? And how much does size really matter on the offensive end?
You guys have both been talking about this for a few months. Like, what do you think?
I think it will work in the Eastern Conference. I'm less convinced that it will work against some of these teams like the Lakers
In the finals.
Yeah, I think Kevin hit it. I think it's a big season for Brett Brown to really prove that he can kind of make this work. I also think it's a big season for Elton Brand. You have these giants kind of trying to figure things out together. But like I said, in the playoffs, I don't know if I want Al Horford, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons on the court all at the same time. So I wonder, about a lot of these teams we're going to talk about, but specifically the Sixers, are they a team that should make a trade in order to make things work a little bit better?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting question because I think, Kevin, this next group of teams that Kevin was talking about, the potential greatness teams, and these are sort of like the 5 through 9 group, and they're all, I would say probably their win totals are between 50 and 45, all this big group of them. They're all Western Conference teams. You've got the Nuggets, the Rockets, the Jazz, the Trailblazers, and the Golden State Warriors. And obviously the Golden State Warriors, it was reported officially today that Klay Thompson is likely to miss the rest of the entire NBA season. Steve Kerr came out and said, look, like, there's some talk about March or April, but realistically, like, it takes a year. Right?
I think until it's March and we hear for sure that he's out, if Golden State's in the bubble, and if Klay feels like he's 100%, and doctors say he's 100% at that point, well, we'll see.
Right. So we don't even, like, this will be a completely different Warriors team than the one we're used to, but I'm talking specifically about Nuggets, Rockets, Jazz, and Blazers. These were teams that you thought could use maybe a deal somewhere. They either need a deal in the midseason or they need one of their sort of rising players to pop, right?
Yeah, especially in regards to Portland, right? I think they're a team, how many years in a row now have they been in the playoffs and just hit a wall? And that's not necessarily their fault. Golden State existed. But I think this year with this team, Hassan Whiteside, he's not going to be the guy to swing their fortunes, but he could be the guy that they use to add a player. I think
the 2017 Heat are very influential on the NBA all of a sudden with Whiteside and Richardson.
But ultimately with Portland, they're that team that, in my opinion, needs a move. I think you look at Utah and you look at Denver, those teams, as they exist right now, I think there's an argument to be made that they can knock off the Lakers and Clippers, especially Utah.
I just wonder, I mean, this is a very reductive view of just like the NBA, but like at the end of the day, like the Lakers have LeBron and AD when Utah is throwing out there Donovan Mitchell, a guy
pound for pound versus heavyweights, right?
Yeah, and like I think both of those teams, Denver and Utah, are going to be fantastic in the regular season. I wouldn't be surprised if they're 1-2 in the standings, but like I'm not going to discount LeBron in a playoff series and Anthony Davis, who, even though he hasn't gotten a lot of opportunities in the playoffs, has been just incredible, historic in terms of his production.
Yeah, I mean, like with Utah, just to look at them, Mike Conley is not going to be the guy that you're looking at like, oh, he's going to, elevate them to become a championship team. But with the team he's going to, with the infrastructure that they have there, I think you can say that, because what they needed was somebody to take pressure off of Mitchell, who, all the criticism that he has rightfully received as being inefficient, some poor decision-making. He was in his second year last year.
Yeah.
And now he has Mike Conley, one of the best pick-and-roll playmakers and scorers of the last 8-9 years of Memphis, taking that pressure off him, creating with Bojan Bogdanovic now, with Joe Ingles, and then Rudy Gobert, the role man in the league. That offense now, to me, has top 5 potential with already what should be one of the best defenses in basketball. They're really, really interesting because of that.
I think Gobert is the question mark. Is he going to be their ultimate advantage or their disadvantage? Because as we've seen in the playoffs, he gets played off the floor sometimes. They did a better job of it last year, even though they lost against Houston. But I'm still wondering in a series against a Clippers team where you could throw out just like 5 switchable wings, like who is he guarding?
Yeah. Let me ask you guys this, because I think within the sort of like we're broadcasting from Los Angeles, you've got a couple of teams out there in LA and New York and Philly and Boston, where the local media and the national media pays a lot of attention to these teams and tends to put a lot of scrutiny. We're already talking about like, this is a crucial season for Brett Brown, right? Like that is like a reflection of the scrutiny that's being placed on the Sixers. These teams, the Nuggets and the Rockets, or rather the Nuggets, the Jazz, and the Blazers, tend to be a little bit outside, not disregarded entirely, but just like a little bit outside that scrutiny. Which of those teams, and you could throw the Rockets and the Warriors in here as well, which of these teams do you think has the highest expectations with that in mind? Because like, my experiences with the Nuggets and Jazz fans that I know is that they're like, man, we're just like, we have high expectations, but there's maybe a certain realism to like what they're talking about, and maybe also like they're not like, I'm going to be crestfallen if we're not touching Larry O'Brien.
It can't be Golden State because of their circumstances.
Yeah, those guys can't complain until like 2027.
I think it has to be Houston.
Yeah.
Has to be Houston. Adding also Westbrook. Yeah. With that weird mix and the amount of pressure that it feels like is building after the issues between Chris Paul and James Harden resulting in the trade, with all the stuff in the front office, with D'Antoni's entire coaching staff, for the most part, being fired, him joking about being only on a 1-year deal, maybe taking a Hawaiian vacation by December. I mean, there's this team feels like they're on thin ice.
What did they bring in? Do you guys know who they brought in? Like anybody else on the coaching staff?
No, they probably just didn't bring it in.
You guys aren't an assistant coach Reddit?
It's literally just D'Antoni on the bench. That's it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Houston question is this the end of something or the beginning of something new? Yeah. Because it feels, big picture, like we're winding this down a little bit and that the last person standing there is just going to be hard.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about the 2 superstars, but I'm honestly curious, just like, why is this team held together pretty much by PJ Tucker, and is like whether or not he's eaten a lot of pancakes that day?
Their over-under is 53.5 as of yesterday. So it's like they think that this is going to be the same team that it was last year.
Right, and
Vegas does.
I think that's a good bet, because as we saw last season, they really just needed a couple of guys, as opposed to what they had earlier in the season, where it was just injury-riddled, and they just decided to just throw a bunch of dice rolls to put around James Harden.
Do they have a couple guys?
I mean, Eric Gordon is back.
Austin Rivers.
Austin Rivers is better than what they had earlier that season.
Austin's the 6th man, right?
Yeah.
Come on, let me go to Haskins.
Okay. It depends on who's starting. But, you can get that. Chris Clemens coming deep off the
I don't know who that is. So I got to be completely honest. I'm standing here and I know who that guy is, and I'm saying that's kind of strange. I mean, I believe in Daryl's ability to find these guys off the pile, but like this is a pretty thin team.
Yeah, they're dealing with a much more thin margin for error than in the past. Although I think like the Westbrook signing is something that could potentially just be really great for them, at least in the regular season. I think Russ just playing with the second unit could be like he could be the Thunder.
As an indication to how poisoned my mind is right now, I was like, I realized I was watching Tyler Hero highlights, and I realized like I was like, who's this guy D'ing up Tyler Hero? Oh, it's Russell Westbrook. Like, what's wrong with me that I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Like the guy is D'ing him up as Westbrook.
Are you buying Westbrook? His change in preseason, shooting more threes, like dribbling behind the line, not pulling up for mid-range with 18 seconds left on the shot clock. Do you buy that this continues, or does it reach a point where he's shooting like 26% from three, and he's like, screw it, I'm going to go shoot 36% from mid-range?
So what's the number that he has to hit from three to make it work?
30%.
He's not even there. It could be bad.
I think he can get there.
Yeah, I mean, he has the ability. I don't know what the hell happened.
This is the best shooting team he's ever been on, right?
Yeah.
So I think that I will give him the benefit of the doubt. I know that there are a lot of people who are doubting whether this is going to be successful. But I think that if you look back on those Thunder rosters and people kill Russ for it, and I know that I'm like typically like defend Russ a lot. Like I just think that this is like he just did not have a lot of guys on the arm to pass it to, and I think now he does. So let's see what happens.
I mean, glass half full is that he's trying, which is the big thing about him for the past decade.
Also, he's going to be mauling second units probably if they play the same staggered minute style, right?
And that's what's really exciting to me about seeing Westbrook.
Seeing him destroy second units. Congrats, Russ.
You did it, awesome.
You smoked this CBA player.
It's going to be great, just like Chris Paul killed second units last year.
Yeah, right.
And he did. Chris Paul was really good when James Harden was off the floor against those bench units. And with Westbrook, he at least adds some variety to their offense, where he's going to push the ball, try to get to the rim in transition, kick the ball out for threes. The half court, we'll see how that develops over the course of the season. But it's like we said with Milwaukee, them baiting average shooters into taking threes. At what point do teams just ignore Westbrook when Harden has the ball at the top of the key, and then they just help off Westbrook, who's like 31% staying in the corner for a three?
I want to get out of this group, but first I want to ask, is it possible that we're almost underrating Denver at this point?
I mean, it's possible.
Like, I just, from the perspective of, like, people are obviously very high on the LA teams. The Rockets are probably the most, like, kind of salacious team to watch. Denver is bringing back essentially the team that exploded out of the West and was so impressive last year. Maybe not as great in the playoffs as we thought they would be. But do you think that this team has got serious title? Like, could they make it to the finals?
They could. I'm very bullish on them as a regular season team. I am also very bullish on Nikola Jokic as like an MVP candidate as a result of that. Just because, yeah, he has so much room to grow. I think we forget how young he is, how young guys like Gary Harris, Jamal Murray is. They can pretty much just roll out the team that they had from last year and win the West. And on top of that, they got a guy like Jeremy Grant, who Kevin's written about, is just like the perfect fit for that team. It also makes Paul Millsap a little bit more expendable. You don't really have to rely on him as much as they had on defense in the past. And Michael Porter Jr. is like this huge wild card. Like, what are they going to get out of him? Because 2-3 years ago, we were talking about him as a potential number one.
He's not in the rotation to start the season.
It seems like if what Michael Malone did in his final preseason game, he will not be the start of the year.
Is he going Michael now? Like, kind of like Greg, to Gregory?
He wants Michael. Okay. Yeah, so with Michael Porter, though, like, if he's with him, to me, it's about defense. Because he looked horrible on the defensive end in preseason. Yeah. And can he become a reliable defender? Because he can bring out offensively, that's for sure.
Yes or no, really quick, and who is it? Can the MVP come from this group of teams?
Yeah.
And who is it? Yes?
Yes, and Jokic.
Yes, love you. Yeah. Eastern Conference, so that's the second tier of the Western Conference, right? And I think we're all pretty confident that there's little margin for error among the LA teams to screw up, because this group is really, really strong in a lot of different ways. The Eastern Conference, like we said, a little bit more separation between Philly and Milwaukee and the next group down, and that next group includes the Heat, the Celtics, the Nets, and the Pacers. I feel like the Heat are like New York stock right now. Like, everybody is smashing the Heat.
Yeah.
They got Tyler Hero out here winning Rookie of the Year in Zion's absence. Everybody loves it. Bam Adebayo playing point Bam. Whatever.
Justice Winslow.
I can't tell if this is just if everybody's hitting some fumes that I don't know about. I watched the Heat. Like, is this decidedly different because of Jimmy?
Yeah. It's got to be because of Jimmy. You saw him in Philly last year. There's some ups, there's some downs, but there's no doubt he's going to do two things for you.
Peaks and valleys.
He's going to get buckets, and he's going to defend, and he's going to set the
He's
tone
like,
for
okay,
us.
he's pretty good at defending.
Yeah. Not what he once was.
Yeah.
From Chicago days.
I think this team has to be good on defense because it's a lot of guys that like seem like they have potential and they do one or two things well that you wouldn't expect them to. But I don't know how they all fit together. Justice Winslow is built almost like a mini Zion, but is like a point guard, I guess now. You have a guy like Derek Jones Jr. who looks like a wing, but I guess he's a center, and it's just like.
Can't we just say that Zion's a big Justice Winslow?
I like that.
I have like the biggest basketball crush on Justice Winslow.
Yeah.
I want to see him in the Draymond role. I just want to see him in the Draymond role.
Yeah.
They just have him play some 5.
Yeah.
They look very, very bouncy and
roles.
exciting. Like I think they're going to be actually like unlike some past I-80 teams, pretty fun to watch.
I think the key with this team and a lot of teams in this little grouping here is what does the coaching staff do? Like, is Fulcher going to be the guy that we all expect him to do to bring out the best of this like kind of weird old lineup? And Brad Stevens, another guy we all expect to be able to make a lot out of perhaps not the best of breeds.
I want to have like a little bit of a take a step back conversation here about Boston. Because here we are after years and years and years about hearing about Dealer Danny and man, the Celtics are set up for the present and the future. And they, like so much optionality, draft picks, but they're also a free agency destination. So now here we are. Kevin has them at 11. Is their window closed? Is Boston's window as a title contender closed? Shout out to my guy Jackson over there. Keep it right here. Keep it right here. Is the window closed?
No.
Is this now a mid-tier team?
It is closed quite a lot, but it's not closed.
So there's still like you can kind of see at the very bottom.
Yeah, look, with Boston, they have a good team still. It's not what they had hoped it would be. It's not what we had thought it could be.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Or no, it's just another one too.
Yeah.
But this team still has a lot of youth on it, a lot of young talent. I think Jason Tatum, I mean, look, Gordon Hayward, it's critical for him to get back to being Gordon Hayward. He looked better in preseason, more aggressive, getting to the basket. But Tatum is really the guy who can swing this team to actually entering a conversation next to Philadelphia and Milwaukee. If he can become that consistent 20-point-per-game scorer, in addition to everything else that he's really good at, defense, that as a passer, playing off ball, then suddenly you have a real interesting mix with Boston. But right now, until we see that happen, no, they're not at that level.
Would you like to rebut that at all?
I think their window closed. I'm with you. I mean, who's the title piece here? I think they did a good job of kind of rebounding from the Kyrie thing, which nobody could really see coming. They made all the right moves in order to get Kyrie. They didn't give up a lot for him. It seemed like Anthony Davis wanted to play with Kyrie. Everything fell into place. You can't really control a guy's decision. I just don't know on this team who's that next guy. I'm not totally like sold on Tatum as being a superstar on a title-winning team.
Well, that's going to be the thing. They just extended Jaylen Brown, so they obviously feel good about this group to some extent, right?
Yeah.
And Jaylen and Jason are going to be on the wings, and like at some point now I'm almost talking myself into the Kemba being like almost underrated at this point because we've kind of like completely wiped away like Kemba's impact on this team, and I'm talking myself into this live on camera. I do think that there's something to the fact that Kemba Walker is going to make these guys feel a little bit better about coming to work every day. Versus what Kyrie did.
Yeah, no, I get that. There's definitely going to be that effect.
And there's no stat for that.
I've heard too many stories about like the campfires they had in China during the FIFA World Cup where they traded stories about their youth.
Did they really?
No, I'm just making it up. But it's just like, I mean, getting along with your coworkers can only bring you that far when you just don't have a guy who can just like take over in the final court.
Well, you come to work every day with me, and if I was like,
I hate you.
The world is flat, you'd probably be like, man, I gotta go to the Athletics.
I want to be that blog post.
It's Kemba, though. It's Kemba. This is a guy whose best teammates ever in Charlotte are Al Jefferson for 1 year and Nick Batum the 1 year.
There was a 7-game run of Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, and I think that like we were all really excited. It was just the shoulders, man.
He was the next Draymond. I think we wrote that on the Ringer. Actually, yes, we did.
Oh, thanks, Jason. Hey, man, we'll get to the Mavericks in just a second. Let's keep it moving. I wanted to ask just really quickly about, since we're talking a little bit about Kyrie and workplace stuff, how good does Brooklyn have to be to keep Kyrie happy this year? Because obviously, like, this isn't a little way. They remind me a little bit of the Warriors situation. Where it's like, in some ways, it's like everything is a positive this year. It's like if LeVert develops, if Jared plays well, if these guys around, the younger guys continue to grow, that's just good. and maybe what? In the East, they should be playing too, I think, right?
I mean, the bar is just so low. I feel like if Kyrie had just moved next to like a good ayahuasca bar, he'll probably be fine for a year as he waits for Kevin Durant to come. Right. This team just doesn't have much else beyond Kyrie to really get excited about. I think their season is going to just depend on how good their diversity is in that like number 2 chair next to him for a season, but then everything changes the following year. So it's really tough to put expectations on them when everything seems to be geared.
I definitely have, are we sure they need to ramp when they have Lillard saved his draft?
What I said about Joe Harris, spacing the floor, Jared Allen and DeAndre Jordan rumbling down the lane.
You're pretty high.
I like it. I like Brooklyn Black. I really like this Brooklyn for the best factor in Kyrie, who is a significant upgrade over D'Angelo Russell, contrary to some of the conversations this summer. He's just a far better overall player, playmaking, shooting from the perimeter, and he's going to elevate this overall pretty solid infrastructure they're going to play a lot. And the fading can be 75-80% of his former self next season, or 100%. This team is going to be right there next to Milwaukee, Philadelphia, and the 2 LA teams.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about some teams that are probably in that 7-8 seed and making the playoffs at all, and there's a lot more questions about them than there is answers. This is the group that Kevin called on the fence. It's the Spurs, the Raptors, the Magic, the Thunder, and the Pistons. I feel like is the Spurs dynasty over thing is a real, like, are we stuck in a time loop? How many times are we going to have this conversation? Would you say that this Spurs team is going to be better than the one last year?
Yes. He's not going to run back to back.
So does that mean they make the playoffs?
They're going to be right in there. I think they're in 7 or 8 teams. But ultimately, so much of that depends on. There's another team in that same group. Is Dallas go out and add a guy? The Sacramento overseas somebody. Does Oklahoma City keep their guys? Right? I mean, like, there's a lot of variables in San Antonio, but they're also on those teams. You can see that they're one way or the other. They could have somebody who's one of those young pieces. Or they could decide, you know what? Aldridge has 1 year left. DeRozan could be free this summer. They'd be way better off making this the best asset available in the market for like a Detroit to go out and get. For them to, because I think there's some logic to San Antonio. Okay. I'm not sure if they will. I doubt they will.
I mean, the whole thing in San Antonio for decades now is to call certain. You know what to expect. You win the name of games and play a certain way and they're going to win games.
And it's a beat the teams that are working with, which I think is what like Phil and Ryan were talking about a lot of those under this idea that they are reliably based teams that are prepared to play.
Right, and as we kind of get closer to the regular season, some of the wires are starting to show on certain teams. Golden State is a team that isn't even going to have Roy Cauley-Stein and Kevon Looney perhaps to start the season, and all of a sudden you're like, who's the 4th best player on this team? Is it Glenn Robinson the 3rd? Yeah, couldn't make an impact on the Pistons.
I actually thought when they signed him, it was Glenn Robinson the 4th. Like he had already gone to Glenn Robinson the 3rd starting head coach into the league,
and then Zion is going for 20 games, so I already didn't feel good about the Pelicans as a playoff team, and all of a sudden they might not be there. So I think if those type of things happen, the Spurs are right there to take advantage of it. And has that not been the case for the past 5 years with the team?
Okay. Am I wild to think that the Thunder are much more competitive than what the Thunder are?
Not at all, Chris. But the thing is, do they keep their guys or not? Do they keep Chris Paul, Mel Brown, Steven Adams? They keep those guys. If they do, they're going to be competitive, man. They've got Shagan with Alexander, and they have nice infrastructure behind that. Terrence Ferguson, Andre Robertson. They have a good team.
I love the 3-2 lineup. I do. I think that's it's just so fun to watch the ball whip around like that, and I think that there's such a cool mix of Paul's veteran game with Shea, just you don't know what you're going to get on any position. I am actually going to probably watch some more Thunder this season than I did last season, I would imagine.
Yeah, there's just more unknowns in this team. I want to know what Shea looks like, not only as kind of the guy for the franchise, but also playing off of Chris Paul and perhaps Dennis Schroeder. It's just, there's a lot for them to figure out on the fly, but at the same time, it just feels like Paul is just a ticking time bomb. I don't know how long he's going to want to go on and get along and just go to the same steakhouse every day and just be fine with not playing.
He has, I think he's a smart guy. He knows what his contract is.
I also wonder, Gallo, yeah, there are a lot of fours out there, it seems, on that could be gettable on this market. The Knicks have 30 of them.
Yes.
But it seems like Gallo's the one who could really raise the ceiling of a team like the Blazers, the Rockets, if they really wanted to go out there and chase.
It's interesting because with Chris Paul, it's going to be hard to trade in. So few teams need a point guard. So few teams want a 34-year-old point guard making $35, $40 million in the next 3 years. But with OKC, I do think the opportunity is going to be there for Chris Paul to look more like Chris Paul. And for OKC, you had better be hoping that Toronto decides we're going to keep this core intact and we're going to try to make another run with what we have, even though we don't have Kawhi anymore. Because if Kyle Lowry were to go on the market, nobody's going to want Chris Paul.
Right.
Nobody.
Right, because you get 1 year of Lowry at 30 versus paying $80 million for the rest of Paul, right?
Absolutely. So with OKC, you had better hope Toronto decides to keep trying to build and make another run. Siakam makes a leap and decides, like, I'm not falling for
I want to speed this up a little bit because we have a bunch of teams to get through, or a couple more of these tiers to get through. It's funny, the teams that we just talked about, like San Antonio, Toronto, Orlando, we didn't even talk about Orlando, Oklahoma, Detroit, we never really talked about Detroit. Those teams are probably better off than these 4 teams, but we are much more, as I think, a group of people enamored with these next 4 teams. That's the Pelicans, the Mavericks, the Kings, and the Timberwolves, right? Because there's so much of the unknown, there's so much promise, there's so much, well, what could Zion be, what could Luka and KP be, what could Towns look like this year if Saunders is actually running like a little bit more of a modern system? Let me put it this way. That's next 5 years of this group of teams. New Orleans, Dallas, Sacramento, Minnesota. We get 5 years ahead. Who would you like to have in 5 years? Who would you like to be running? Or who would you like to be a fan of?
Is it recency bias to not say New Orleans because of the injury? Or is it logical to say you're looking at a guy who's 280 pounds, 6'6"?
So we're talking about Zion.
Yeah, Zion.
Out for 6 to 8 weeks, towards meniscus.
Is it recency bias or logical? Because otherwise, the clear answer would be New Orleans. But because of what just happened, it's like, well, maybe it's Dallas because of Luka, because of KP, because of their cap flexibility coming up, because of the assets that we could eventually try to flip.
I don't know. I mean, like the KP stuff, it's like he's gone through like 2 years of legend values. You know, it's like we're not holding that against him in this question.
And that's what I mean. Like it's recent. I think it is recency bias. I think you have to go with New Orleans here because even if like Zion goes full leftovers here and disappears, they still have a pretty good overall team.
You can it's funny, man. Let it out. It's good stuff.
With Lonzo Ball.
Shout out to Rindeloff. Let's go.
Great show. With Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, and the 2 guys that got from the Lakers. Then Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who, by the way, like everybody's talking about Tyler Hero, Alexander-Walker was better.
Nobody's actually talking about Tyler Hero.
This is NBA Twitter, and all the nerds, us included, are talking about Tyler Hero. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker was the second best rookie in preseason behind Zion. He was awesome.
Justin, you have long ties to the New Orleans area, and the former New Orleans Pelicans beat writer.
Sure.
What's your team for the next 5 years here? Is it either Dallas or New Orleans for you?
I want to say New Orleans, but this past day or 24 hours has really given me some nightmares that I had experienced in New Orleans, where it's just like Anthony Davis had all the talent in the world, but he just couldn't stay on the court. And all of a sudden, before he even gets the chance to play in his first game, Zion Williams already like dealing with a pretty significant injury. And while I agree with Kevin, like yeah, maybe it's a little bit of recency bias, but this is kind of a worry that has been mounting with Zion for at least a year or so. Like he missed some preseason. He had the thing in college. I'm just like,
it's the physicality with which he plays that I think is freaking people out. As somebody who has cheered for a team that has watched multiple like rookie of the year candidates just not play their first year, like Joel and Ben, Bolts. You know, like I think that Bolts being aside, like we tend to like I think we're freaking out a little bit about Zion because it's almost like Anthony Davis. Like when he seems to get injured, it seems to be very scary. You know, whereas I think that like honestly like he will come back. Yes, this is pretty good, right?
I think that the flip side to that argument is with Luka Doncic. He's the best prospect of anybody in this group. Mm-hmm.
Well,
he's a better prospect than Zion, in my opinion.
Yeah, let me push against that. Is Towns better though? That's what I'm wondering. Like
Dr. Zach right here.
Towns is also in his prime now, and I think like there are a lot of questions about like how Wolves are going to be able to take best advantage of that, and it's going to be particularly complicated because they have Andrew Wiggins, who's not even top 100 player.
You want some preseason numbers? Andrew Wiggins in preseason, 19.1 minutes, shot 33.3% on the floor, 31.6% from 3. averaged only 9.8 points, despite this new system.
Come on, man.
I mean, he
He's
stinks.
controlling it.
He stinks. It's sad.
He can't get any worse, though. He's a rising stock.
And also, it's not just Andrew Wiggins. It's like you have Jeff Teague on that roster, you have Gorgie Jang on that salary payroll. It's like for Minnesota, I love Karl Anthony Towns. He is awesome.
Yeah.
But everything else there, besides maybe Ryan Saunders and good for office, besides that,
So you guys are both kind of leaning Mavs, my question.
Probably. I do think there is a chance if, yes, there's a lot of sunk cost on the Wolves' books going forward here, but I am encouraged about the front office and the approach they're taking, kind of leaning into Towns, being just the focal point of everything they do, which is crazy to say that they didn't do before.
Right.
And I do think there is a timeline where 5 years from now they are the Colossus.
I'm going to ask a couple of more quick-fire questions as we wrap this up. This has been Group Chat, by the way, and we have a ton of other NBA Palooza stuff going for the rest of the day, and then we have the games at night to watch. So here's a couple quick-fire questions. Who's going to be better this season, the Bulls or the Hawks?
Bulls. I think the Hawks are way too soon to really jump on the Bulls.
I just think that everybody is like, this Bulls thing is bizarre to me. That Jim Boylan was a punchline last year, and now all of a sudden we're like, I don't know, he's got himself a good little team here. Zach LaVine, like, no disrespect, sucks. Zach LaVine is like empty. Like everybody used to kill guys like Zach LaVine on other teams, but for Chicago, we're kind of like, oh, he's an interesting player. You know, Zach LaVine can play a little point. Like, I don't think so, man. Kobe is going to be good, Kobe White, but I don't get this Bulls team at all.
They're just like super competent, which is all you really need to do.
I feel like they're like a little bit better than the Wizards. I just like feel like I don't get this Bulls thing at all. The Hawks make sense to me.
Yeah. In Chicago, they're at least going to put up a lot of points this season. And I think if Wendell Carter can stay healthy this season, you have a really interesting front court with Lauri Markkanen and Wendell Carter. You have guys who can get buckets for you, like you mentioned, White. LaVine, I mean, he's got his flaws. I'm not a big fan, but there's no denying that dude can score. At least then Otto Porter, you didn't mention, a really good two-way player to help stabilize that. Whereas with Atlanta, look, I like Trae Young, but he still needs to prove that he can be knocked down through.
I guess this is probably aesthetic bias because I just would rather watch it.
I would rather watch Atlanta too.
Let's talk about these last few teams here. It's the fast forward teams. It's the teams that probably are like, they're thinking more about their front office than their on the court product. They're thinking more about how do we rebuild this thing? How do we get out of where we are? And that's sad because there's a couple really good players down here. Devin Booker on the Suns, Kevin Love on the Cavs, Beal on the Wizards, obviously, and somebody who I can't think of on the Hornets.
Terry Rozier.
Terry Rozier, scary Terry. I agree with you, Kevin, that Charlotte is the probably the worst situation in the NBA.
Let me curve here. Let me zag a little bit.
Okay.
So we talk about hipster teams in the NBA constantly, right? What if the Hornets are actually the hipster team? Because we're always the definition of a hipster NBA team is like a team on the rise.
To be hipster, you have to like want to watch it.
Yeah, I know, but I think the hipster move this year is to be like, oh, actually, Terry Rozier running the pick and roll with Cody Zeller. That's the move.
No, that's avant-garde. That's like I like to listen to nothing but tape feedback and like microphones being shoved inside of amplifiers.
I mean, what are the Charlotte Hornets if not an art installation?
I don't know. I can't. It'll be a miracle. I think that I will probably spend more time watching like Friends this year than I do watching the Charlotte Hornets. Like that's not even that hard of the thing to say.
Would it shock you if Washington saw they made a run at the 7 or 8 seed? Let's say Beal has another awesome season. Rui Hachimura is pretty good as a rookie scoring the ball.
It would shock me.
It would shock you. Okay. So there's nobody from that bottom group, in the East, Cavs, Wizards, Hornets, that you feel like could somehow.
No, I think that this bottom four is the bottom four.
Okay.
Yeah.
In New York, who we didn't mention.
Yeah.
I mean, are they a team that you think could be better than expected?
I think that New York is the interesting team here too because of how they could wedge themselves into so many conversations with dealing guys like this.
I think the question for New York is whether or not they fight other teams or they fight each other, because there's a possibility with this team where like playing time just becomes a huge issue, where guys like Marcus Morris, Taj Gibson, who are already playing for their second contract because their second year isn't guaranteed, like whether or not they're going to be okay with like giving minutes over to RJ Barrett, some of those younger guys. At the same time, Marcus Morris is already doinking guys with the ball on the other team, and just like if they just lean into this identity as like old school Knicks basketball, I can see that having some sort of effect.
It's almost sort of the total opposite of the Memphis Grizzlies, where all those young pieces just fit together so well.
Right.
Your John Morant running the point, Jaren Jackson or Brandon Clark, screen for him. I mean, that fit there is.
You guys, like, seriously? The Grizz? But the Grizz are going to get stomp this
Who
year.
cares?
Yeah, I know.
You
But I
wanna
just,
lose.
like the way that we're talking about the like, do you think that the Grizzlies are going to do that for the Hawks?
No.
I mean, no, because they're in the West.
Okay,
I mean, the schedule is ridiculous.
Are the Grizzlies more hipster than the Hawks?
They are
Yes,
now.
they are now.
Hawks were last year, the Grizzlies are this year.
Yeah, I don't really see anybody out of this group of four, the Phoenix Suns, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Wizards, the Hornets, like rising out of this bottom tier. I think this is pretty much locked up. I just hope that but what would be really fascinating as we go through the course of the season is whether or not these guys wind up tanking. Because I think that's going to be the memories of the lottery night, which you were present for, and the Pelicans landing Zion ahead of a bunch of teams that thought they had a better shot at him. Is going to be like people are going to forget that as they go through the season. I don't think we're going to see as bad of a tank job this season though as we did last season. All right, we have a ton of stuff going on for the rest of the day on the Ringers NBA Palooza. Coming up next, I believe we have the premiere of Take Hunter 4. So enjoy that. We also have sports rewatchables. We have what else we got today? Lakers wine bottle with Bill and a cast of thousands. And then Russillo and Bill to take us into Toronto versus New Orleans. For Kevin and for Justin, I am Chris. Thank you so much for watching Group Chat Live. Enjoy Take Hunter 4. Thanks to everybody here and find the crystal glass.
What's up, everybody? This is Kind of Funny Games Daily for Tuesday, October 22nd, 2019. I'm your host today, Imran Khan, and joining me today is FM3_, the one and only Fran Mirabella III. How you doing today, Fran?
Doing well. I like that you call me FM3_.
The underscore is there, yeah.
You'll make sure to find me on Twitch if you use that.
Yeah.
It's like every time I hear it, I'm like, oh, underscore.
When you first type that out, were you like, well, FM3 is taken, so I just gotta put something?
Yeah, exactly, because it's my gamer tag across all platforms.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about gamer tags later, but that's my gamer tag. It's been that across all platforms forever, FM3, so I just had to add something.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do an X, you know?
Yeah, the underscore is your brand.
Yeah, I'll change it. I'll come up with suggestions. Still gotta be FM3 though.
Kevin is shaking his head, of course, in a very upset way. This is Kind of Funny Games Daily, each and every weekday at 10 a.m. live right here on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, where we run you through all the nerdy video game news that's fit to listen to. If you're watching live, you can correct us when we get stuff wrong by going to kindoffunny.com/you'rewrong. To be part of the show, to actually connect with us, head to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, where bronze members or above get to write in, and silver members or above get the show ad-free. If you don't want to watch live, you can watch later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, or listen later by searching for Kind of Funny Games Daily on podcast services around the globe. Today's stories include reviews for The Outer Worlds are out, Steam's local multiplayer beta is also out, and Crystal Dynamics explains why they're focusing on Ms. Marvel. But before we get to any of that, it's a little bit of housekeeping. We've reminded you a lot. We're going to remind you again because it's for the kids. Extra Life is Saturday, November 2nd. 24 hours of games for charity. Join us now at kindoffunny.com/extralife or watch it on that actual day. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Blackjack and Mohammed. And today we're brought to you by Third Love and Upstart. But I'm going to tell you about that a little bit later. For now, let's begin with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. It's time for some news. We got 4 stories today, Barrett. A big cares dozen. First of all, we're going to do an Outer Worlds review roundup. And I'm going to say Outer Wilds at some point during this. I'm going to do my best not to.
Only that once. You said it there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make that the quota.
Yeah, okay. We're gonna try to say Outer Wilds, but yeah, it's gonna get there.
I can tell if he's trolling me.
It's gonna get there. You
just said Outer Wilds instead.
We're gonna try.
I
didn't say we're gonna succeed.
You're gonna try to say Outer Wilds?
I'm gonna try to not say Outer Wilds.
See?
Okay, alright.
See,
what you said was you're gonna try to say Outer Wilds.
You either did just mess it up immediately, or you did the best troll of your life.
JV Gwaltney, who is a PR representative for publicist for Outer Worlds, is probably very pissed off at me right now. Okay.
They're very upset with you, trust me. That's
I'm
okay,
sure.
but you know what? The reviews are looking good.
Yeah.
So they got to be happy about that.
So first of all, DualShockers, Thomas Franzese, gave it a 9.5. He said, while saying something like The Outer Worlds is out of this world may be low-hanging fruit for a writer, it isn't a false statement. This game rewards player choice and experimentation on a level I've not seen since Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and it managed to do so in both gameplay and story. With the best writing of any game thus far in 2019, any fan of RPGs needs to play The Outer Worlds. Game Informer Joe Juba, that sounds like a made-up name.
That's right.
JJ. Yeah, good old JJ.
He's very upset with us now, though.
Give it a 9.25. Even if the larger beats don't always land, The Outer Worlds shines with constant stream of small, bright moments, and amusing interaction with its clueless guard, a sugary corporate jingle, a brutal sneak attack, a solution to a problem you were sure won't work, but it does. The team at Obsidian excels in encouraging creative experimentation within its responsive and absurd setting, ensuring that every visit to Halcyon is full of delightful surprises. Over at GameSpot, Edmund Tran gave it a 9. I finished The Outer Worlds wanting more, eager to jump back into the world to see extra things. It's not a short game, but it's one packed with such a steady stream of wonderful characters to meet, interesting places to explore, and meaningful, multi-layered quests to solve. It didn't feel like there was any room to get tired of it. I wanted to rewind the clock and do everything in a completely different way. The Outer Worlds is consistently compelling throughout. It's a superb example of how to promote traditional RPG sensibilities in a sharp, modern experience. At IGN, Dan Stapleton gave it an 8.5. With The Outer Worlds, Obsidian has found its own path in space between Bethesda and BioWare, and it's a great one. And considering that new RPGs from either of those influential developers are still years away, the game couldn't have been timed any better. It's not as explorable as one big open world, but it still packs a large portion of flexible quests and complex within its series of smaller ones. And the combat, character, and companion systems have enough new spins on the existing ideas to make it feel like an homage to its own personality rather than a copy. US gamer Mike Williams gave it a 4 out of 5, Games Radar Alex Savard gave it a 4 out of 5, Polygon Cast Marshall didn't have a score but gave it recommended, and Kotaku Gita Jackson gave a very, very long review that does not have a score, but on Twitter she was incredibly positive. She says she loved the game. So it's safe to say that that's a very positive review. Have you touched the game yet, Fran?
No, I don't have a copy yet. I'm pausing because, as I mentioned as we were getting into the show, it's like, wow, there's a lot of positive reviews. Greg was more like somewhere in the middle. I don't know. He doesn't put a score in it, but I felt like he was in the 7s maybe from the way that he was talking about it on Gamescast. He talked about it being, I don't know, overly challenging, or the pacing seemed off at times, and buggy at times, but he liked it, can appreciate that it was kind of Fallout New Vegas, a little modernized, but also not modernized enough after, I think, the 10 years or whatever it's been now.
And Greg was on Gamescast last week. We pre-recorded a segment for this week, which we'll insert into the actual Gamescast, of his thoughts on the game.
Yeah. Oh, wait, is that not out for Monday's episode?
No. Because the review of Mario was this morning.
You heard it here first, everybody. Now you really want to tune in for that episode. It's a week out, right? Next week it'll be up on YouTube.
Yeah, it'll be on on Monday, live on YouTube. And I don't know what the plan is for Thursday when we pre-record the full show.
Yeah, will we see it there?
I don't know. That's a good question.
We should probably ask Greg what his actual plan for that is.
Well, no, that's more of a question.
Anyway.
But yeah, we'll figure that out.
But on the show it was,
he was on super positive.
And you played some of it too. Yeah. We'll hear a little bit from you on that show. But how are you feeling about all this?
I agree with him that there were a bunch of flaws to this game, but I played more of it since then because I was at like 4 hours.
You were just
the game.
scratching the surface.
Yeah, I really love the game. I think what it intends it is the kind of indie successor to Fallout New Vegas that Bloodstained is the old Castlevania kind of games. Maybe not as directly, imitating that, but it's not. It's a smaller scale Fallout New Vegas. So all this stuff people are saying of, actually the writing is amazing, the quests are well designed, the various choices you can make are smart. That's all incredibly true. That said, it's also very janky in some spots. The UI is not great.
The UI is terrible. I just started playing last night, and
you were super excited.
It was to the point where I left the room when you guys were talking about it because I didn't want to get influenced before I started playing it. But I finally sat down and played 2 or 3 hours last night, and it's giving me that classic Fallout feel. I'm really excited with the story and characters, but the glaring glaring issue is the UI, the map and how that handles. Like the map is terrible. It might be one of the worst maps ever in any game I've played.
I don't think I've actually used the map for any. Like I just walk towards the direction I think I need to go.
Yeah, I'm so used to for games like Fallout where if you have several quests that you're trying to keep track of looking at a map and seeing like specifically if there's a route that I need to take to get around things or whatnot, and just using this one is just awful. And then the UI feels like dated. It's not like a huge problem, but yeah, when you go into your inventory and you're trying to swap things out, you're just like, yeah, this feels like 2004 all over again. It's weird.
I think I started on Gamescast, but there was a time where I was just trying to figure out why I could not disassemble a gun. You know, just because the gun was, I had other copies of the same gun, so I'm like, oh, I'll just break this one down for parts.
Right.
And I just couldn't. It wouldn't tell me why. It just grayed it out. So that's
mission gun or something.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like I put it in storage. I just can't do it.
Don't know.
And there's no real storage in that game, by the way. Like you just have to find lockers that you want to use and just put stuff in there.
Interesting. But yeah, it's got that classic Fallout type of feel for me so far. Of the kind of major quest that they introduced you at the beginning of the game, but that kind of evolves into this kind of side story that you're going into right now. It's a classic Fallout feel, and that's why I'm excited to get more into it.
Yeah, it's a reminder again, this is from Obsidian, who has some of the original members who created Fallout before it went into Bethesda's hands, and then on top of that they did Fallout New Vegas, so that's the note again, if you're interested in the game, particularly like New Vegas, I have a feeling you'll really like it.
If you like New Vegas, you will like this game. If you did not like New Vegas, this is not going to do anything for you.
You may not like
it is exactly the same kind of thing on a smaller scale, but like there are so many cool things about it. Like I've been going to do a save reload kind of thing just to see, because I don't have time to replay it again. So I've been just kind of like going through and like, oh, what happens if I did the quest differently this way? So there's one point where a guy gives you a quest. He's like, go here, go do this thing. And I was like, okay, what if I just kill you? So I did that.
Right, which is
and
what this game is all about, by the way. That should be the poster tagline for all these games.
What if I just killed you?
What if I just kill you? It's a target on someone's like.
It pissed off my compatriot, and she didn't want to hang out with me anymore because I just killed someone in cold blood to get the thing. But I got the quest, done. I didn't have to go do a thing and then spend a whole bunch of time and effort and eventually resources taking out a dungeon of marauders. I just killed one guy. So theoretically, if you think about it, I'm really the moral one there, because I only killed one person as opposed to 10.
That's your morality.
Yeah, that is my morality meter right there.
I think that you grade your own morality in these games. Again, that's what it's all about. So
I am actually a little surprised how well this game is rated though.
Yeah, you know what it is? I think that, and I've seen this happen to me personally, where just the core gameplay speaks to people in a way that transcends, some of the issues. Like, honestly, Borderlands has some of that. It has some antiquated issues. It got a lot of flack, in the beginning around that. People were talking about the menus, some issues there, the map even, just some areas where it's janky as well. But overall, they just loved, the chaotic shooting and stuff. But anyway, I have a feeling this game's kind of like that. That it's just there's not a lot of other games that sort of do it in this way, and it feels like it's hitting some of these nostalgia feels. It's funny, a lot of the reviews here, it's carving out its own path, putting it down Stapleton's words, but Greg and you guys, I think you were saying it felt very New Vegas.
Yes.
Almost like they put a new coat of paint on it, but then you're like, is this really a new?
Yeah.
I mean,
if New Vegas came out 2 years ago, then I think I'd be less okay with this. That is one of Greg's problems that he explains later, is that he wished the game aspired for more. It is just New Vegas, and years after the fact that it didn't take enough. It didn't take any of the actual lessons learned from there. So, we talked about, Bear said earlier, the UI is just a fucking mess. That I can see why people would be initially very turned off by things like that.
Yeah. I think you get into your head expectations with trailers that come out, the beautiful art that's attached. And then what I'm getting at, is I kind of had that going for me too. Man, this is new, modern Fallout, the next generation version of whatever that is, right? And when you guys start talking about it, you're like, well, it's kind of like New Vegas with fresh coat of paint. Some touch-ups here and there. I'm like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, it's from those creators. Yeah. They're not a huge team. I don't know how big they are now. They're bought by Microsoft, but it's not like they're as big as the Fallout team, I'm sure.
Right. No, they're significantly smaller. Yeah.
So anyway, I'm really happy for them. It sounds like it's one of these niches that if they didn't do it, nobody else was going to be doing it. And then like, that's the other side of this. Maybe they didn't polish every corner in the way you wanted, but like nobody does it quite like them. Obsidian has a really good reputation. So I'm glad to hear. I'm actually got a pimp. I did a piece. IGN Expert Mode was a series that I produced when I was at IGN. It was part of the Facebook stuff. Barrett remembers this. Brag about it. We did one on. I'm not bragging. I'm just playing to awesome.
No, it was a fun series. I like working on it.
Executive producer on that. I did. No, you guys should check it out. It's IGN Expert Mode for Fallout New Vegas. You can find it on YouTube.
I didn't know we did
that. Fallout, how an abandoned sequel led to New Vegas. No, maybe I didn't. That could have been Ryan McCaffrey. Now I think about it.
I didn't know you guys did that one. The only ones that I helped out with were Psychonauts and The Last of Us.
Yeah.
They were great episodes for it.
You didn't know about Fallout New Vegas.
No.
Exactly, yeah. So check it out. It's obviously, it's from one of the producers, but I recommend it because it gives you some insight on how to think about designing these games and the RPG element and the morality and all that. It's really important. Anyway,
let me ask you a question, Fran. As somebody who has reviewed games for IGN, what consideration, if any, would you give to the fact that Outer Worlds is day one on Game Pass on PC and Xbox One? Like, would that matter to your review at all? Would you be more forgiving of flaws, or?
No, I mean, this is the problem, and I've struggled with it in my review career. People, they're like, the price doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. They'll say it doesn't matter, and you can even argue it doesn't matter if it's an indie team or a huge AAA team, and it's like, that shouldn't matter because it's a game, and it's game, and you should just review the game. So, what I'm getting at is, no, I can't affect your viewpoint of as a game. But what I do think is important is you talk about that and say, if you want to just try it on Game Pass, though, and is it worth an hour of your time and you already have it, that's a different viewpoint, if that makes sense. But I don't think it changed the review of how you feel about the game. You know what I mean?
I think you're right. As somebody who also reviews games, you're correct. But I don't. What you're saying about it not being doesn't matter if it's indie or whatever, I think you do keep those considerations in mind, whether it's subconsciously or not.
People do all the time.
Yeah.
Saying you're not supposed to, don't you think?
I mean, Outer Worlds specifically, there's going to be a lot of talk when that game actually comes out about the fact that I don't think a lot of people don't know it's not open world.
Yeah.
I think people think it's as big as the Mojave was in Fallout New Vegas. It's not. Literally the areas between towns are valley hallways that you just kind of walk through. It takes maybe 5 minutes.
It's much more narrow.
So but the reason I don't consider that a big deal is because it's not a Bethesda, not a game being bankrolled by Bethesda. It's a game being bankrolled by Take-Two's indie label.
But that's where we're really getting to the ethics of it all. I know what you're saying, but I would argue, but just as a game, how do you feel about what's in the game, the pace of the game? Does it need a big open world? Right. If it does, then you should say so. And if you feel it needs to be dinged because it didn't provide you enough, then you should. I mean, if that's the precedent for this type of game, that would be my argument, is to say, if you're feeling that way, then and maybe now that I hear you saying it, I'm like, maybe that's what brings your viewpoint down. Maybe more in the other world.
It's one of those things of if this game was published by Bethesda, I don't think the review scores would be as high, even if the game itself were exactly the same. And that's maybe unfair to say to the game, because it's a fun game. It's just that those expectations do color how we see these kind of games.
Yeah, they do. I hope they don't for a lot of people. It's hard not to, though. You're right. I'm not arguing with you. It happens all the time. Mm-hmm. But when I run into that situation, I try not to let that get in my head. I mean, the truth is, I see the opposite, which is, we'll see really big AAA studios, like Bungie, release a new IP, or Bethesda, or whatever, and there may be some really good redeeming qualities and things happening, but you expected this AAA perfection.
Right.
And so the axe comes down on you, and I hate to see that side of it, too, which is, I feel like, just to make sure I love indie developers that do a lot with little, and there's a ton of credit due there. But I also really get triggered when I see people come down on the big AAA studios because they're rich, they should have known better, it should be perfect, and it's they're still just a game studio with the same type of people. They might have had some resource, but it's just, games get made in a very similar way, right? It's got a creative director, it's got the same choice structure, and sometimes you just have more resources, and so anyway, that stuff shouldn't take review is the short answer.
Right. Change is an interesting word. Guilt, I think, might be the better one, because I do think that these kind of things do affect. And it's as we start moving forward in the industry, we'll start thinking about where, because AA games are disappeared for at least a generation. Those things are basically gone. And I feel like we're kind of getting back into them with games like Outer Worlds.
That's what I was going to ask. What was an example of a AA game for you?
Like, an older example of a AA game would be like Darksiders.
Okay.
And I think we're getting into this kind of thing now where games are being made under an indie label, but by established developers that are roughly like AA quality, but we're not calling them AA, we're calling them, I don't know, prestige indie games or whatever. So like games like this or Control, I think are games that we're starting to look at in the AA context, but we're not considering them AA yet.
Yeah, I know what you mean by that. And again, it is confusing. You might get a game that was from a two-person team, and it's a cute little, $14.99 game, and you compare that with a $60 game. It's a huge bazillion-dollar marketing budget, and you do.
But there are indie games that run circles around AAA games too.
Well, exactly, but so they don't have to be big and audacious and full of marketing money necessarily. So again, like at a base, it shouldn't affect your review price and all that. But I say it shouldn't affect your review, but it can affect recommendations. What I mean by that, right? Because I think it's cool to have that slice of like, hey, here's what I think, and part of it was for me. This is a very small team. I like these types of things, or whatever it is that. As long as you get that information out there.
Yeah, even if I liked Outer Worlds less, I would easily be able to say like, yeah, but it's on Game Pass, so if you've got an Xbox One or a PC, you just pay the $2, play it for a month, and see if you like it.
Yeah.
Like it's about like 10 to 15 hours. It's not a super long game. They encourage you to play it more than once. Like you can get through that in the trial period pretty easily.
Yeah, for sure. So is it worth your time? It sounds like you say yes, and if it's on Games Pass, you might as well check it out.
Yeah. Borzen00 asks, hey, good morning, Imran and Fran. Reviews are out for the Outer Worlds, and it sounds like Obsidian has finally shed the king of the sequel, especially the BioWare sequel. I think they're referring to like how they usually just make sequels to other studios' games like Fallout New Vegas, Coder 2, that kind of thing. And has proven that they can make a new IP that is also received well. My question, though, is how well will it do in the mainstream, as the only other recent mainstream successes have been licensed IP, Fallout and South Park? Is the Outer Worlds destined to be single-player Fallout replacement for players, or will it be just as niche as Pillars of Eternity?
I don't think it'll be as niche as Pillars of Eternity. I think that this game has enough sort of style and being anywhere in the vicinity of Fallout, one of the biggest franchises out there when it comes to gaming, anywhere around that is going to be a good thing.
Especially after 76 kind of like changed the brand a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think people are hungry for this type of thing. It is interesting that it is in a niche, but it's a big niche that doesn't get filled, the right way. So, no, I think it'll do well, but no, I don't think they're expecting it to be as big as Fallout. That's not the expectation here.
Though I will say Bethesda releasing a Fallout collection on the same day Outer Worlds comes out seems really petty.
You know what? That might work out for them in the end, which is like, that's one of those situations where they're helping the interest in the genre. So actually, why are you buying that? You should pick up Outer Worlds because it's in this genre.
I'll tell you what's the biggest boon for this game probably is now Microsoft owns Obsidian. We talked about that a bit earlier. Yeah. They are really getting behind this game. They're like referring to it. I think Matt Booty called it like this is basically an Xbox game that happens to be on PS4.
Yeah.
Like it's on Game Pass. There was a trailer that opened the Microsoft conference at E3.
Yeah. They've been super bombing.
They want this game to be huge, so they can say, by the way, Outer Worlds 2 is only on Project Scarlet, whatever it's called.
Exactly. Yeah. They must be into that sequel development years down the road. I think that's the one that we're going to get that highly, hopefully modernized, like big jump.
I mean, that's another question, though. Like, assuming this game does great for Microsoft, and they do toss the money behind a big sequel, do you want it to expand in scope, or do you want them to keep it to what they did well?
I think it comes down to timing, because if you get the game a year and a half from now, I think that's the situation where you're like, honestly, I'll take the better graphics, like some better audio, like sure, it's smoothed out a little bit, but it's basically kind of narrow, like you're describing. I think in that scenario, if it's not going to take forever, people will probably be okay with it, assuming it continues to please the mass audience like it has with these reviews. But I always want the God of War jump. I want to see, you don't have to reinvent a franchise necessarily, but what I mean by that is just games that nail, so much. You know, they do stuff that really like you're like, holy cow. Like even Red Dead, you know, I know that it's loved and hated, but that's a game that I loved and hated. But there's moments in that, and especially on the consoles, I'm just like, how the heck did they do this? It's amazing, and it was experiential. And so anyway, meaning I would love in this type of game, you know, we haven't really seen it actually, because Fallout's janky too.
Yeah, Fallout is.
So can we do this right?
Infamously janky.
So I'll take, I guess personally what I'm saying is I will take 3.5 year wait now, or 3 years, whatever it's going to be, and wait for hopefully a big next gen drop of cloud upgrades.
I want a new Alpha Protocol. I assume Sega owns that, so Sega, get on it.
Alright, Sega. Heard it here first.
Speaking of Microsoft, Xbox Live change enables you to choose any gamer tag you want. This is from VentureBeat by Jeff Grubb. Xbox Live is changing the way gamer tags work. The service now enables you to change your name to whatever you want, although you will get a numerical identifier to go along with that. Of course, you can still use your hateful, or you can't use a lot of hateful and sadistic words as well. I disappoint on that a little bit, and the link maxes out at 12 characters. You can change your gamer tag once for free, even if you used your free name change in the past. Under this new scheme, any name you choose will work, but it will have a number followed by some numbers on PC. On console or mobile, you will get your name immediately followed by the same numbers without the number sign and a hashtag, pound sign. Xbox Live now also supports many foreign language characters. So you can go as just J on Xbox Live on PC. But if someone wants to find you on the service, they'll need to look you up for something like J number pound sign 2666. If you go as J parentheses J number 2666 on Xbox Live on PC, players on Xbox One and mobile and within game are still going to see you as J266. So it's a little confusing, but basically there's a number attached to it. The naming system is similar to how the communication services Discord and Blizzard's Battle.net work. Instead of telling you that a name is taken, the service just adds a unique identifier to every tag. The Xbox One console and mobile app will be updated to display your new gamer tag and leave the site for changing your name. Games themselves will follow sometime in 2020. So, this is a cool thing that they kind of just dropped out of nowhere. And it's one thing that's always kind of like, I know a lot of people were frustrated when they made those original Xbox Live gamer tags. They wanted to change it, because a lot has happened in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I need to be like Sephiroth Blade 522 for the rest of my life. So I can see
that's like name changing.
Yeah.
But if you wanted a name, I think that's the important part. Is if you always wanted to be.
If there's another Imran out there, God forbid there be another Imran Khan somewhere out there.
There is, by the way.
Oh no, horrible. But there are two of us. But if you wanted that stuff and couldn't get it, these kind of things like can really be a barrier to, honestly, enjoyment. Of like, you want to have the name you want to have for when you're playing online in Call of Duty or whatever.
Yeah. What I was going to say, if you want, like, that name, you wanted to be Nathan Drake on your PlayStation. Like, now you can be. It's just your number, 1337 or whatever it is. So, I mean, ultimately, it's a good thing. Yeah, I'm a little, like, old school where I'm like, I don't like when I'm trying to enter a name in and I'm like, oh, you kidding me? It's still taken. So I appreciate the process of like, we're trying to get away from like, you're just trying to enter anywhere. And it's not going to come back with like that red, like, boom, sorry, not available. Yeah. And you're like adding all these numbers. You're like, who took Imran Khan 2639? You're like, are you kidding me? That's also taken, which happens, right? It's very frustrating. So it gets us out of that and just gives you this random number. But part of me misses the like, and it's not as unique anymore. But those days are gone. Like, yeah, it's gone. But I appreciate that. FM3 is a weird one because it's got a number at the end already. But I have FM3 on all those platforms. The original, like on Steam, I'm just, as far as I know, I guess I have to go back and look. I mean, on FM3, there was no other one at the time because they didn't have numbers. Same with Xbox and so on. But when I went to Blizzard to do it, I was like, oh, it just doesn't even matter. I mean, I'm like number whatever. So anyway, I kind of like the old school thing is what I'm saying, but I appreciate it's not a good way to do it.
Yeah. I tried to, just to see if I could change my name on PSN when they first rolled all that stuff out, and just see like what that process entails. So I tried to go change my name. It said, you can't change this. Like, call this customer support number and figure out why. But I'm curious. As a reporter, I wanted to see why that was the case. So I went to see it, and it called me. I was like, hey, why is my name locked? Why can't I change it? Like, oh, you're verified on PSN. It's like, what? when did that happen? They're like, well, you don't have to actually apply for it. Someone just does it for you. And I was like, okay, well, can you unverify me? Like, no, the only person who can unverify you is the person who verified you.
Like, a marketing department somewhere?
Yeah, does it say who did that? They're like, no, we don't know who did it. You'll have to find them. And they're like, what if they don't work at the company anymore? It's like, I don't know.
Well, that's bad customer service. I mean, I'm sure anyone in the marketing department can help you with that.
Maybe. Well, I like
speaking to customer service.
I don't know what they're saying. Like, maybe it could just be the only person. I could legitimately believe that. But it's a hilarious thing of, I didn't want to change my name anyway, but now the fact that I can't weirds me out a little bit.
Yeah.
I will say I'm sick of Nintendo using friend codes.
Oh yeah, I'm also very sick.
I like that you can attach whatever name you want to it, but if I had to add someone right now, or someone had to add me on their Switch friends list, I couldn't be like, oh yeah, just search Imran678.
Yeah, but see, that's where I was going with the old school thing. Honestly, Steam is similar. I mean, you get into just find me on FM3, and overall you can, but some people are like, what's your ID? Most people are starting to send out Hotlink or ID now,
right.
Because actually finding the other person can be very difficult with all these duplicate names.
I have to go into my profile and actually look at the URL to remember what my Steam username is.
Yes, but I'm saying that's the same as friend code, basically.
Yeah,
so
well, I mean, friend code's a 12-digit code that
granted, it's more annoying.
I barely remember my own phone number at this point. Yeah. I don't know if I can remember a friend code.
Yeah, I memorize my credit card numbers on my friend code.
I used to memorize my credit card numbers. I bank loses them so often.
They
I have to keep constantly changing them. There's no point.
Prove it, friend. Tell us what else.
Yeah, let me just load up your favorite website right now.
Just say all of them except for the last one. It's fine. No one's going to go through with the remaining 9 numbers and see. I want to quickly add on to that story that yesterday Xbox product marketing manager James Shield reconfirmed that every Xbox One controller will work on the next generation Xbox Project Scarlet. It doesn't matter what generation or type it is. So whatever Xbox One controller it is. So it could be the Bluetooth one, could be the Xbox Elite, could be the Elite version 2, could be the day one launch thing, which my analog stick on that one is starting to go.
Nice things.
But Phil Spencer explained that E3, the decision is Xbox respecting the purchase of gamers that made on that platform.
Yeah. I mean, that's the amazing part about this, is that you can buy the Xbox Scarlet. If you want to sit down, you want to play co-op, maybe there's whatever, a Board of Borderlands 3, and you want to play split screen, but you need a second controller, which normally is $79.99, with all the taxes and going to Best Buy, whatever. Get your Amazon Prime shipment as fast as possible. But now you just grab your own controller.
Yeah.
It's really amazing and nice to not feel, frankly, bamboozled or ripped off. I feel like every time, we're buying these new consoles, it's you're going to buy a lot of proprietary stuff. Nintendo, honestly, I feel like every time Nintendo sells stuff, I'm buying all the accessories.
They hit reset button every single time.
Yeah.
Except for the Wii controller on Wii U, but that was a different thing.
Yeah. Well, but even then, you needed to buy more Wii controllers eventually.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's amazing. It's a really good reminder that did come out. It's exciting. We'll see if Sony. They haven't said that. They've talked about backwards compatibility, but I don't think they talked about control.
They've talked a little bit about the new controller. They say it has a force feedback thing.
Did they say the old DualShock didn't work?
I don't think they directly said that.
Help us out. kindoffunny.com/you're wrong.
I would assume that since the PS4 controller had a touchpad, that touchpad was used for some games. Either there will be a way to get around it, which is strange, or they'll just say just use a PS4 controller.
Yeah.
But I think is really cool. This is them saying, yeah, please buy an Xbox Elite version 2. It'll work in a year. We promise.
Yeah, especially this is them saying, please buy an Xbox Scarlet, please.
Yes.
Not that they're not selling Xbox, but PlayStation is well in the lead, and Switch is selling a ton right now.
Switch has outsold the Xbox One at this point, I think, or it's close to it. It's on pace for it.
Yep. But now, man, I'm excited about next year. It's hard to believe. I was skeptical, and we'll see if a delay comes in. I guess not. We're going to be head-to-head 2 next-gen consoles at the exact same time. It's been a while since we've gone head-to-head like that. I'm just really excited that holiday 2020 is both the Scarlet and the PS5 coming. Hopefully, did they say global launches for PS5 as well? Or did they just say it's coming out holiday 2020? I mean, we know it's coming to the U.S. because it was from the U.S. side of things.
It'll almost certainly be a global launch.
Yeah.
I don't think, I could see, PS4 isn't going to miss Japan. I could see Xbox will too, or it's probably Scarlet nipping the brand for a little bit.
Yeah, maybe that.
Because, like, why was the point?
But like the main like European US markets.
To correct a thing earlier, or not correct a thing, clarify a thing, Nanobiologist asked, what are you playing the Outer Worlds typically on? Private Division gave me a code at least for PS4. I'm not sure about Greg.
Oh yeah, in terms of, it's a good point. I'm sure it was PS4, 100% sure.
Yeah, I'm playing PS4, so I assume he was playing PS4.
Yeah, he wants trophies any chance he gets. Meaning, if a code was available, he had to be playing on it. But anyway, I'm gonna check it out on PC. Hopefully, it's part of the Epic Store. I'm pretty sure. So.
It's Epic Store and also Game Pass. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you can use that one. All right, you can try Steam's online local multiplayer for yourself now. Here is how. This is from US Gamer by Matt Olson. Remote Play Together, Steam's new feature that lets you play local multiplayer games over the internet via streaming, is now live for participants in the Steam client beta. The feature supports up to 4 players in the game, where it's cross-platform, even lets players share control of a keyboard and mouse. Valve's official announcement for Remote Play Together goes light on technical details in favor of telling readers how to get it up and running. Anyone can opt into the Steam client beta, and from there it's as simple as launching a local multiplayer game and inviting a game through the Steam overlay. Then the game in question reads other players' inputs like they're from another controller plugged into the host machine. Our executive report on Remote Play Together goes deeper on how that feature actually functions. The host of a Remote Play Together session streams out a video feed of the game from their machine to other players, who then essentially play along to the stream. In a statement introducing the feature to developers, Valve recommends a 10 megabyte per second connection. We're streaming at video up to 1080p and 60 FPS for players with acceptable latency. Surely, Remote Play Together will be better suited for some games than other games, depending on how much latency factors into play. Still, it's a different streaming beast than Stadia's bandwidth-hungry architecture. On Valve's support forums, a representative confirms that Remote Play Together always needs a connection to Steam server for streaming. So it's also not a magic solution for letting multiplayer-only games work over an offline LAN setup. So this is a thing you're interested in, Rand?
I personally wouldn't use it. That's just me, but I actually think the feature is really neat. Kind of fascinating to think about. It's streaming and encoding your local signal, and I wonder if it kind of, in other words, delays. Does it delay your input a little bit by that 50? My math here, milliseconds. Mm-hmm. To does it try to actually give you all the same latency?
Right.
Because you're playing the game together, right?
Yeah.
Or are they just getting the frame later and then it doesn't matter? I don't know. I didn't really think it through. But
it's an interesting idea. Yeah. I don't, because like when I first saw this, I was like, oh, now I can play River City Girls with a friend. And then like as I started exploring more things about it, like how well is this actually going to work for an action game? For like a card game or something, this sounds amazing, but I can't think of a card game that's not going to be online multiplayer anyway. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, I don't know. I know some people have tried. What's the remote play for? Is PlayStation Remote Play?
Yeah.
I know people have tried that, but just being able to use somebody else's copy and like take control and try out a game, like I don't know, it's pretty interesting. And that's I thought that was a cool note too. That now since it supports these other platforms, so you can use like your local PC.
Yeah.
It's like if I have Linux and that's what I'm like coding on it, where I'm like, oh, but I want to check out this game, or just do Linux. Linux.
If you have a Mac,
I was about to tell you out.
I know.
I was like, am I pronouncing
I
it
was
wrong?
thinking of Linus Tech Tips, I guess. His branding is so awesome, but of
I was
course
like,
it's Linux.
has my mother lied to me for like the last 15 years on how to say that?
I don't say Linux. I was up very late trying Destiny, and you're probably not shocked to hear, so I'm a little off. But anyway, I do think it's a cool feature. Any experimental features like this, I always think are great. Plus, there's value, like there's consumer value because it's not asking you to buy, 4 copies of the game. And
right.
Just the play, like there would be no point, obviously. You just play online. It does require an online connection, but pretty cool to give it a try. We'll see how fast it gets.
I think the way I prefer, and I don't know how technically feasible this is, but I would like it if we both just had our own copies and somehow the local multiplayer just worked between us. Like, I feel like that's not that's not a possible answer, because like if it worked, they would have done it. Like if those games if Valve just applied netcode somehow to like existing games, it didn't happen.
Oh, if you have, but if you in other words, if you have it though, then why don't you just play it online?
Because the game itself doesn't support online multiplayer.
I'm trying to think of the scenario and I'm missing it. I think.
Like
in other words,
River City Girls is an example of if we both just had the game and we went to a local multiplayer match and then Steam went, okay, you guys are both local multiplayer, we're gonna just connect you together somehow. I don't know that's technically feasible.
So games that have local multiplayer that do not have online multiplayer.
Right.
So I see. I'm not familiar.
I would like it to just
this game,
add online multiplayer. I don't think that's like that's a dream wish list kind of thing. So I guess this may be like the only way they could get it to work.
Gotcha. Yeah, maybe there's some like older games or something that would apply to.
Yeah.
It's like it only supports like local multiplayer, and like if you both own the copy, then you can use your own. Either way, I think it's cool that actually I just thought that there's probably some older games where they don't have the online mode maybe even, and it's just got like local multiplayer stuff, and so you just hop in with a friend and single copy. So,
but it is cool that Valve is doing this, and like they're leveraging that
experimenting,
that cloud kind of technology, like personal cloud kind of thing, to do a thing that ends up making more games possible or more functions in games possible, even if it's not necessarily. It's a good first step.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it actually goes.
See, definitely would have flown under my radar had I not been on the show today. So I think it was a good pick.
Yeah.
For a new story.
The developers of Avengers are explaining why Kamala Khan was chosen for Marvel's Avengers protagonist role. This is from IGN by Matt Perslow. Crystal Dynamics has offered a little more insight into why it chose Miss Marvel as the protagonist for Marvel's Avengers over other, more well-known superheroes. Talking to IGN at EGX 2019 in London, where Virgin Media held the UK's first play of Marvel's Avengers, senior producer Rose Hunt explained that Kamala Khan was chosen because of her personality is very relatable for people playing, and that her lack of history allows the studio more freedom when crafting her story for the game. When Marvel brought Kamala Khan up as a possibility for us, we were super excited about her, says Hunt. But she's a fangirl like us. She's a fan of the Avengers, like the whole world is. So we thought that she would be a super relatable character to be our protagonist. And another advantage of her is that she doesn't have 80 years of history like Captain America or some of the other Avengers she added. That allows us to actually tell more of an original story with her, because her story has just begun, and we can build on that in interesting ways. So they revealed this a couple of weeks ago. I think it was the first new Avengers gameplay since, like, they showed that demo and they polished it up a little bit over time. It was still not a great looking demo, like, since they showed it. But when they did show Kamala Khan, and this may be because I'm actually just a huge fan of that character, name reasons aside.
Actually, it's how tired of this. I didn't even think about that.
But she, like, that was when I was like, okay, this game actually looks really good now.
Yeah.
So, how are you feeling about the game?
Did you think that, just for clarity, you thought that gameplay, trailer they showed looked better than what they showed in the past? Or you just got excited for the character?
That's one of the reasons, for sure. But also, it just, the actual... So part of the problem I had with that is that it looked off. Like, all the characters looked off. So maybe it was I wanted to look at the MCU and it wasn't subconsciously that was tainting it. I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen all the movies with those characters. It's a little tough comparison at this point.
But, like, Kamala Khan, I read her comics, obviously, so I know what she looks like. I think I played her in Ultimate Alliance 3. But this is the one that I'm like, okay, actually, she looks fine in the game. Like, in the cutscenes and all that stuff. And her actual, like, clearly the battle segments in the trailer were edited to look a bit more exciting than maybe they actually are. But it looked more interesting to me. How are you feeling about the game these days?
I'm still interested. I mean, you guys had described, like, playing it and some stuff that I just haven't really seen, in terms of some people are like, wow, it's kind of like Destiny. But not, and then how's that going to work? And we have all these questions unanswered of how it is a seemingly somewhat persistent online shared world, and yet it's this like driven campaign. So I don't understand how it works yet without playing it. And I honestly haven't like looked deep enough, I think, into interviews and some of the footage. So I'm optimistic about it, though. I'm not the biggest Marvel fan in the world. What I mean by that is I am nowhere near the knowledge that you guys have. I've seen the movies. I used to watch, X-Men cartoon when I was younger, and I've dabbled here and there. But like, I don't appreciate the world as much as many others. But I like the material. So meaning, it's one of those scenarios, right, where like, just because it's a Marvel, this shared world game, like I'm still looking at it from how's the gameplay, right? Like the Marvel stuff I could take or leave. because you're right, I'm just not as into that side of it. So I just don't know enough about the gameplay. So.
Do you think, as a fan who's not necessarily a Marvel fan, like not super into Marvel comics?
Yeah, not that I don't like it again. I just, you know how that is. It's like if you like Star Trek and you don't like Star Wars, it's going to be hard to get excited about, the next Star Wars.
Did you watch the trailer?
I did.
What did you think?
I just watched it once, and I got real emotional with like the vibes of like, oh man, like I've been watching this for my whole life, and this is supposed to bring this chapter of this story to the end, And so I really got that vibe, and it seems to be the main thing they're going for. So I really appreciate that. So I'm super excited. I think JJ always delivers. For me, I feel like the right in the middle of like it was good. There's always some stuff that
describes it pretty well. The right in the middle kind of thing.
But like I'm never disappointed. It's a lot, tons of beautiful shots. Anyway, so I
didn't watch the trailer. Once I get tickets, I'm like I don't need to watch it. I'm already bought in.
Yeah.
But
it's cool show.
What I was originally trying to ask is
So as a non-Marvel fan?
As a non-Marvel fan, do you feel this game is less marketable if it's not like Iron Man is a protagonist, he's the one you're starting the story with?
I don't think it's less marketable, but Iron Man is, one of the most like iconic Marvel characters now, just because of what they did in all the movies and everything. So I think just having Marvel on it and all the characters, it's going to be easily.
It's called Marvel's Avengers.
Meaning it's not just going to be Kamala Khan, and you're like, who is this and what's this game about? Like that's not just because she's the protagonist. I don't think the marketing's going to lead into just that, right? You'll have your whole cast of characters. Oh, and there's this new character that I didn't know about. Like, explain that to me, for example. So wait, this is Miss Marvel, and what they did in the movies is not.
She ended up inhaling some Terrigen mist, and she became like a kind of stretchy character, like kind of a Mr. Fantastic thing that could like inflate her, fists or whatever.
But wait, in other words, what I saw in the movie. Mm-hmm. Wait, is Captain Marvel different than Miss Marvel?
So she started as Miss Marvel. And then she started as Miss Marvel, and she became Captain Marvel. So the current Miss Marvel looks up to Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. So she's like, I'm just gonna take her name.
Oh, you can be Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel. It's like a title.
Yes.
But you were actually Kamala Khan.
Yeah.
Okay.
She didn't meet Carol Danvers until I want to say a couple of volumes. No, maybe one volume in, the end of the first volume. And then Carol Danvers is like, okay, actually you do actually embody this name. So go ahead and keep calling yourself Miss Marvel.
All right, to fully explain this, we would have to be here for another 2 hours.
Yes.
Now, I understand.
I would suggest reading the comics because they're really good. At one point, she describes all her X-Men fan fiction to Wolverine, and he cannot stand it.
I like that. Okay, I like the sound of that. Anyway, I'm definitely very excited about the game, and I don't feel like they shouldn't have to explain why they chose her.
They have to, though.
Yeah, of course they do.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
the exact people who are like, why is this not a Star?
Yeah. But the silver lining is I do like the side of it where it's like, wait, this gives us a lot of things to shape, a character that people don't know as much about. And so I can appreciate that, again, as not a super fan. I think it's a better way to put it. The Marvel fan, I'm just not a super fan. So as a Marvel fan but not a super fan, I'm like, oh yeah, it's going to be kind of cool to see this newer story instead of all these other characters I know about already.
So that game comes out in May. But Fran? That is so far away. If I wanted to know what's coming out of the mom and drop shops today, where would I look?
The official list of upcoming software, each and every platform as listed by the Kinda Funny Games Daily Show host each and every weekday.